Hello there everyone, welcome back to another video about the One Piece card game. I'm here to talk about my favourite deck in the game, Rebecca. I absolutely love this deck. I think it is bloody fantastic. I think that this is a technical deck. I think it's a fun deck. I think it's a deck that a lot of the time your opponent's not necessarily going to enjoy playing against it, but that is what it is. And I think it's a deck with a lot of legs in the current metagame. Now, I don't know how much longer, realistically, this deck is going to be playable. With power creep as it is, I think we're getting very close to this deck. Probably not being good enough to see play. Right now, basically in 08, I think it's dead unless we see an RP lore ban. I don't think this deck really goes anywhere, and spoiler alert, the bad matchup for this deck is RP lore. But to the point, I think one of the reasons I'm really enjoying it in OP07 is we got a lot of very new and exciting tools in OP06 and OP07 in blue that we're able to leverage in this deck. And honestly, RP Lore's really only the only bad matchup. I think everything else has felt pretty doable, pretty winnable. I think you need to play really perfectly. So how good a deck to take to a tournament is this? I'm iffy. Expecting absolutely perfect play every single round for a deck that takes the entire round. I think more than like 8 or 9 rounds of that, and you're probably asking too much in one day. So that's one of the issues with the deck. I think it's very technical. If you brick, it's rough. It's very consistent, but it can be the case where that happens. But that being said, I think it's extremely good. It's extremely slept on. There are shout outs to Cross. He wasn't very successful, but he is putting a lot of time and effort into this deck. From what I've seen, so hopefully he'll go and he'll get some results with it. I have no events in 07, so I'm basically waiting until Nats and praying for an RP lore ban to take this deck. Hopefully someone can put up some results with this. Let's go ahead and talk about the deck, and you'll see why I think we probably don't have much longer to enjoy this leader. I think there are factors beyond our control coming for this deck, and that factor is power creep. And you'll see what I mean as I go through the list. So firstly, we start off with one of the most important cards in this deck. You don't actually need it in every matchup, but it's always good to see, and that's Corrida Coliseum. This lets your Dressrosa type characters attack characters on the turn they're played, and it's obviously amazing. It basically gives everything rush. With cards like Luffy, you're able to attack active characters, so you're able to generate a lot of value into all those matchups. Into a lot of decks rather, by just if it's a card you're happy to let die anyway, you can just tap and start removing cards from your opponent's hand, and that's always really solid. Also, I think but really the bigger use is with Kyros, this is just an extra life for Kyros, which is basically it's a free Olympus, and that's generally actually what this card is. This is a free Olympus every single turn, and that's really its value. This and Luffy, those are the two reasons you play it. For the events, so I'm starting with the Dressrosa cards. So this is all your Dressrosa stuff, and it's basically all from OPF4. So then we've got Trimeo Bastardo. So this is a 4-cost event that pops a 4-cost, but if you have 15 or more cards in your trash, and this will include itself, so you only need 14 when you use it, you can deal with a 6-cost. The trigger taps your leader to pop a 5, and so this plus Olympus hits a 10. Now, until OP08 rolls around and we're worrying about Jack, who will be an 11 cost for removal purposes, this means that Olympus Bastardo deals with anything in the game. And that's really important. You need to be able to in particular, you want to be able to deal with 10 cost Big Mum in case you play against Katakuri. Less likely nowadays. 10 cost Enel, this is a bigger one in case you're playing against 10 cost Ace against you're playing against Enel, and 10 cost Doffy if you're playing against Jewelry Bonnie. So these are it's nice to have outs to those. King Kong Gun is another one. This is a very powerful card. You're able to loop it. Really, one will do it, but so you only really need one, but 2 basically seals any game, and you can very much stack your deck to keep looping them. It's very, very doable. The trigger's really nice to draw 3 and trash 2, can help unbrick a hand. But I think, the really big part here is it expands your control plays. Because if you just slap this on a Luffy, suddenly that's a 13k double swing on active characters, so it's just a board clear. Unless they've got like a 12k character, it's clearing everything, right? So you're just gonna be, or it's ripping, 4 cards out of their hand, which you're also fine with going into like a 10k. So that's always really, really nice. And it gives your stuff double attack, which means Luffy, you only need to get your opponent down to 2, and then Luffy will just go cool 17. Well, not 17. Will go cool 20 double attack, double swing, and you just win the game. So you have to play this. In particular, you have to play this because otherwise you actually can't beat Nami. You are generally too slow. You really need the pressure from King Kong Gun to beat Nami. Onto the characters, and we play 3 Luffy. You need to play this card. If your meta is very yellow heavy, I'd probably bump this up to 4. Because you really can't afford to not have one because you'll just deck out. And a lot of the technical play with this deck is just making sure you're appropriately using this card and like stacking your deck properly. But yeah, mandatory card for the deck. I don't really think it functions without it. 4 copies of Sabo. You get to search this card and you get to abuse the hell out of this card. This card's very, very, very good. Use it. I don't really think it needs any further information there. Okay, 4 copies of Olympus. And this is a card I just really want to see power crept in OP10. Like, we're going back to Dressrosa. Please, dear God, give us a power crept Olympus. Because this card is good, but I want one that can't be removed. Just let me not have to worry about it, and then this deck is going to be crazy. That is the kind of card we need. This card is the heart and soul of the deck. The only reason this deck is as good as it is Olympus, genuinely. Basically, you just convert all your weenies into -4 cost, or you can even sack itself to make it a -4 cost card. Or the big one is used with Kyros to just free -4 cost to something every single turn. And the removal suite you have access to when you're reducing cost by 4 for basically free without it taking Don is absolutely crazy. 3 copies of Rebecca Blocker. This card is very, very good, but you don't actually really need it that often. It's very, very searchable in this deck as well, right? So you can get it when you need it. And I mean, realistically, right, like one of your power plays is going to be leader effect, find Becca, play Becca, get Sabo, play Sabo, laugh, right? And you just sit there with an unkillable wall and you survive. Okay, 4 copies of Kyros. Cards are very, very needed. You could make 1 Kyros a Luffy if you're trying to optimize for the yellow matchup. I mean, if you're trying to optimize for yellow, there's a lot of changes you can make. But this character's amazing because it basically can't be removed. As long as your leader's active, like it's, no one's going to waste removal or attacks going into it. And if they do, you're fine with it because you get it back off Becca Blocker and you get to remove. And you can loop it, you can do whatever you want with it. Like, it just sits there, it's sticky, it's really annoying, it's just very, very, very good. And yeah, as I said, it's an advantage engine with Olympus. Here we got 4 Bartolomeo. This is your best 2k counter in the deck. Can't wait for its alt art. And then we have 4 one-legged toy soldier. This is the second best 2k in the deck, and I'm also excited for its alt art. So Barto's a blocker 2k, which can be salvaged off Becca Blocker, so that's very, very good. And one-legged soldier can't be salvaged off of Becca, but it is a 2k counter that reduces cost, and this reducing cost by 3 is very, very nice maths with a card we'll come to later. But in terms of the cards that are available right now, with Terreno Bastardo, this hits 9s, which is amazing. And with Kyros, it hits 4s, which is also very, very strong. With Olympus, you hit 8s with a Kyros, which is also very, very, very good. In terms of the 1-drops, very briefly as well, we've got 4 Becca. This is just a top search card that also fuels your drop, which is very, very, very good. And we have 1 Leo. So I really like Leo here. You could play a Manchri or something, but basically I just wanted a little more removal in this deck. This is very much a one of the flex slots, and I'll walk you through some maths to tell you how many more flex slots you got, but essentially these are flexible. I think, if you are expecting absolutely 0 Nami, like for a fact you will never have to worry about Nami, then you can also flex the King Kong guns. So that's 5 cards here that you can change. If you are doing that, I really would recommend you make one of those a Luffy, though. Just, yeah. And yeah, so Leo's just cheap removal. You play it for 1, and you're able to, all your maths with Kyros works with Leo, but sometimes you just really need all the Don you can get, and so that can be a really, really nice situation when you... when that 1 cost removal is exactly what you need. Usually when you don't have 10 Don, right? It's those earlier turns when Leo's usually very, very good. argument to make this a two of. I think it's a very good argument. Personally, I'd rather see Bastardo than Leo. It's very, very searchable. So the maths is fine, I think, with playing one copy. Okay, so now we move on to the non-Dressrosa cards, and these are the cards that I think are making this so crazy. So first is we're playing 4 copies of Ice Age. Now, you can play Tempest Kick if you want. For me, I value the reach more than the draw. And what I mean by that is I think it is so important to be able to hit 6s without an Orlumbus through Kyros and Leo, and hit 10s with an Orlumbus. You can hit 11s with a Bastardo, and you can hit 9s with a toy-legged soldier and a removal tool. And I think that is really, really important maths, because looking at the threats at each of those thresholds, at 9 you have 9 cost Zorro, at 10 you have the 10 cost I mentioned, at 11 next set you have Jack. So these are all really important thresholds you need to be able to hit. The maths is just not as good with Tempest Kick, right? Like, you're adding 3, which means you hit 4s with Kyros, fine. You hit 8s with Kyros and Orlumbus. 9s are out of reach. You need to see Trainer Bastardo, or a card we'll talk about shortly, to hit them, and I just think it makes you too reliant on seeing those cards, and I'd much rather I have this, I know I've got the answer, than, okay, now I need more cost reduction. I think the reach is very, very important. Okay, for Hancock. My god, this card is insane. Not alt arts yet, I will buy them. I didn't know I was going to need them. Yeah, maybe I'll pick up mangas, we'll see. Yeah, this card's ridiculous. This card's genuinely ridiculous. You stun a thing, you bot deck a thing. With Ice Age and Orlumbus, you can bot deck a 10 and stun something else. And that is 7 Don, right? Because if you already have the Orlumbus, it happens, right? So, yeah, the Orlumbus Hancock curve is truly vile, because... so there are a lot of decks that can't immediately answer an Orlumbus, right? If you're not in black, and you're not RP Law, you basically can't answer it on curve. And I am not attacking with Orlumbus. I'm having it sit there, and I'm generating advantage. And then I start bot decking stuff with Hancock. I establish 6-8. I've stunned a thing. It's just crazy. And this is why I think Ice Age as well is so good, because Ice Age Hancock on your 7 resource turn, a 7 Don turn, means you're hitting a 6, which is exactly what your opponent may have just played. So, yeah, I really, really value that. And finally, I think the card that really brings this all together and makes your removal just as outrageously strong is Gravity Blade Raging Tiger. Someone explain to me why this is not Dressrosa traded. I am livid this is not Dressrosa traded. And it just makes all the maths of the deck so awkward. There's so many ways I wish I could go. I wish I could play other searches. I wish I could splash something else. The maths on this is you need to play 33 Dressrosa cards to have a just about 90% chance to for your leader effect to hit. I think 90% feels fine. Less than 90, and I'm starting to get like fairly anxious about like whiffing it. But 90, it's very, very rarely going to happen. And the percentage gains you get beyond that point are minimal, right? But the reduction in percentage as you get a card below 33 starts increasing very, very quickly. And once you hit 30, then you're really hitting the danger zone. So above 33 at all cost. You'll notice I'm only playing 12 non-Dressrosas. So I'm actually at 38. So I'm well above what I need to be. That's just because I really think all of these cards are very, very nice. But you can see here, 1, 2, and 3, I could, and if I expected an army, 5. So these are your flex slots where you don't actually need them. And you could pivot those into something else. Gravity Blade Raging Tiger solves the Bonnie matchup, which is one I was really, really worried about. Because Gravity Blade plus one-legged toy soldier deals with a 9 and deals with a 6. If you're having an empty board into that, then you're not even worried about Hawkins' effect, or you just swing with your whole board and then like you don't worry about Hawkins' effect either. Yeah, just crazy, really, really, really good maths. Of course, Raging Tiger plus Orlumbus hits 10s as well, but sometimes you are just reduced to top decking, right? And this is the deck. I think it functions amazingly. I think it feels great. I really recommend trying this out. I definitely think you're going to have to grind a lot of games to understand the feel and to understand how to stack your deck properly and to understand what's good into each matchup. If you're interested, this might be a deck I do an in-depth guide on my Patreon, which you can check out, link in the description. I think, I don't know, man, I'm really high on this deck. I think it's amazing. As I say, you can definitely flex these. If you wanted to play Admirals or something, you could. I don't really think you need them. Honestly, I don't really know when in the curve I'm fitting in an Admiral, out unless it's Kuzan, because that card is such a game swing, but it's just like, I mean, I'd just rather have Orlumbus than Kuzan in every situation, basically. Now, one thing I would say we could squeeze in here would be 2 Gyats. Yatsu. So you could like swap out Leos or some of these flex slots for that. I think it's nice to have the extra 2Ks. It's an extra card you can sack with Olympus. I don't really know what I'd cut for it at the moment, and I'm going to experiment more and test more, and I'll try and figure it out. But yeah, I really like these 12 cards. I don't really want to change them. I really like almost all the rest of these cards. The only ones I'm looking at potentially changing are these three, really. So we'll see where I get to. But there we go. That's it for this deck profile. I hope you guys found this video useful and interesting. If you did, please like, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece card game content. Check out my links in the description. Check out my Patreon. I put up all my videos early, and I also do exclusive in-depth guides for my patrons there a few times a month. So if you're interested in that exclusive content, please do check it out. People have gotten cereals with them. That is it for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Cheers.